Hello students, today we are going to start from the macroeconomics first unit of the syllabus, introduction of macroeconomics. First, we will find out what is macroeconomics. So basically macroeconomics is a branch of economics which studies economic activities at the level of economy as a whole. Aggregate saving, aggregate demand, theory of employment, all these are example of macroeconomics. जैसे कि हमने देखा है कि लास्ट ईयर जब आपने माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ा था तो आपने एक इंडिविजुअल के तौर पे इकोनॉमिक्स की स्टडी की थी एंड दिस ईयर यू हैव टू स्टडी द मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स एज एन इकोनॉमी ऑफ अ होल. तो यहाँ पे कुछ डिफरेंसेस दिए हुए हैं माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स एंड मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स में. First thing is the purpose. On the basis of purpose, we can say that study of individual economic units of an economy is studied in microeconomics, and study of economy as a whole is done and its aggregates done in macroeconomics. Second, and on the basis of objective, they both are having different objectives. The central problem of microeconomics is price determination and allocation of resources, whereas the macroeconomics objective is the central problem of macroeconomics is determination of level of income and employment. Next, tools. So microeconomics main tools are demand and supply of the particular commodity. But in macroeconomics, the main tools are aggregate demand and aggregate supply of the whole economy. So you can see that here we are taking all the things individually, and here in macroeconomics we are taking all the things as a whole. For example, we can say that individual demand, per capita income, these are the example of microeconomics, whether the examples for macroeconomics are aggregate demand, national income and unemployment, etc. So before starting the first unit, national income, we should know some basic concepts of macroeconomics. The term which we are going to find in this first unit very commonly is GDP. In newspapers, news, we can find out the term GDP. So what is the meaning of GDP? The total market value of all final goods and services produced by all productive enterprises in the domestic territory of a country in a year is called GDP. Its full form is gross domestic product, and it is also considered as national income. There was a different term, that is NNP, that we will discuss in further videos. Now, the next term is types of goods. We have to know about the types of goods. So there are, we can see 4 types of goods. First, we can define the types of goods on the basis of its use. So we can say we are having intermediate goods and final goods. Okay, and from the final goods, we can divide these goods into 2 parts, capital goods and consumer goods. Now let's find out what is the meaning of these goods. First, I am starting with the first one, intermediate goods. So it refers to those goods which are used either for resale or for further production in the same year. So we can say the raw materials are also called intermediate goods. So in intermediate goods, we consider goods purchased for resale, like milk purchased by a dairy shop. So when a person or a shopkeeper sells it to the consumer, it could be an intermediate good. Second, goods used for further production, like milk used for making sweets. So it is also the raw material for the sweet shop owner. So these things are called intermediate goods. Another term is intermediate goods are used up in the same year. If they remain for more than 1 year, then they are treated as final goods. Okay, so if we do not consume or we do not make or use those goods which are intermediate goods or raw materials, we say we change it into final goods after 1 year. Now, what is final goods? Final goods refers to those goods which are used either for consumption or for investment. Goods purchased by consumer household as they are meant for final consumption, like milk purchased by the household. Like if we purchase the milk to use at our house, no one can buy it from us. Okay. Second term is goods purchased by the firms for capital formation or investment, like machinery purchased by a firm. So these are final goods. Now, one more term is there. One thing we have to note that final goods are neither resold nor used for any further transformation in the process of production. That means no need to add any kind of value, or we do not need to change or resold them. Now we can see the difference between final goods and intermediate goods. Okay, so final goods are ready for final use and intermediate goods are for resale or used for further production. So final goods are consumers for consumption and by producers for investment. It is used for consumer for consumption and producer for investment. Okay, now final goods can be divided into two parts: consumer goods, which is used for satisfaction of wants, they may change during use, and capital goods, which help in production process, they do not transfer during use. So all the machineries comes in capital goods, and mostly whatever household goods we use comes in the section of consumer goods. Now, after that, intermediate goods, these are purchased by one firm from another for following purposes. First, resale during the year, or use as raw material in production process. So they may change during the production process. So these are included in national income. Rather, intermediate goods are not included in national income. So this is the most important point, that intermediate goods are not included in national income. Now come to the next point, that is consumer goods and consumption goods. So the final goods we divided into two parts. So it could be divided into durable goods, semi-durable goods, non-durable goods, and perishable goods. We are talking about consumer goods. Okay. So directly used by the ultimate consumer household for satisfaction of wants. For example, here we are taking sugar. If we used by consumer to make biscuits, it is consumer good. Okay. Now, what are the terms? Non-durable goods. Non-durable goods are the single-use goods. Basically, all the Coke, ice cream, milk, or whatever food items, vegetables, fruits, we use it for once. We cannot reuse these things. Now, second thing is semi-durable goods. So use for some longer period for time. Like example, toothpaste, you can use clothes. Okay. So they are having a shelf life. After 1 or 2 year or 1 month, you have to change these things. Now the third point is durable goods. It can be used for several years, like furniture, television, washing machine, refrigerators, fans, ACs. Okay, all these are example of durable goods which can be used for several years. After that comes the fourth point, that is services. So an intangible thing which directly satisfies human wants, like example doctor services, mobile services, whatever services which we cannot touch but we use that. Okay, so that is called services. Now, capital goods. So these are the durable final goods used by the producers in the production process. Basically, these goods are final goods, but it is not used for consumption. It is used for further production process. So they do not change during the production process. For example, fixed assets like machines, plants, and equipments used in the production process are capital goods. Now there is some difference between consumer goods and capital goods. So these are the directly used by ultimate consumer household for satisfaction of their wants, consumer goods, and the capital goods are used by the producers in the production process. Capital goods help in production of other goods. Rather, consumer goods are not used in the production by the producer. Consumer goods may be changed during use by consumer, like tea leaves are used to make tea. But capital goods do not change during the production process. Okay, we cannot change the machines during the production. Okay, after that, durable goods examples are car, washing machine, etc. And for capital goods examples, machines, plants, equipments used in the production process, etc. Now, next topic comes the concept of stock and flow. First, we will see the meaning of stock. So, stock variables are measured as a particular point of time, like on a particular date, on a particular time. Rather, flow variables are measured over a period of time, like a duration of time. Okay, like from 1st August 2019 to 31st July 2020, like this. Okay, on the basis of time, the difference is stock has no time dimension, rather flow has time dimensions like per hour, per day, per month and per year. The concept of stock is a static concept and flow is a dynamic concept. Okay, so we can change the concept of flow. Rather, the examples are wealth, balance sheet. These are the example of stock where we cannot changing anything. And the example of flow is investment, profit, loss account, GDP. Okay, so all these things could be changing or variable. Now, next topic comes the concept of investment. So, the investment's meaning. Investment is defined as the additional to capital stock which raises the productive capacity of the economy. Okay. So, whatever investment is there which is used as an addition to the capital stock is called investment. Now, it is also of two kinds. First one is gross capital formation and second one is net capital formation. First, we will know about the gross capital formation investment. The total capital formation in a given period in an economy is termed as gross investment and before making allowance for depreciation. This is gross capital formation. Now here we are having 3 points: gross fixed capital formation, stock investment and residential construction. Now here one more term comes, that depreciation. So what do you understand by depreciation? It is also called consumption of fixed capital. Actually, it is the loss in the value of fixed assets during use due to the normal wear and tear, long term uses की वजह से जो losses होते हैं. And next one is expected obsolescence. लॉन्ग टर्म यूजेस की वजह से जो भी लॉसेस होते हैं या जो हमें पता होता है कि उसमें चेंजेस आने वाले हैं, डिटोरिएशन जो होने वाला है कैपिटल गुड्स में. इट डज नॉट इंक्लूड कैपिटल लॉस ड्यू टू अनएक्सपेक्टेड obsolescences like natural calamities, theft or accident. Okay, so this is the concept of depreciation. Now next term comes, that is net capital formation investment. So to find out net capital formation investment, we have to put one formula, that is gross capital formation minus depreciation. If we subtract the depreciation from gross capital formation of depreciation, we can also use the term consumption of fixed capital. We can find out the net capital formation of the investment. Now, there are few differences between consumption of fixed capital and capital loss. So it is a loss in the value of fixed asset due to normal wear and tear expected obsolescence. Okay, and capital loss, it is because the value of fixed asset due to natural calamities or any kind of unexpected obsolescence, maybe some earthquake, maybe fire. Okay, consumption of fixed capital is expected loss in the value of the asset and capital loss is unexpected loss we are facing. Now, provision for depreciation is by maintaining depreciation reserve fund. We can overcome from these losses by maintaining a depreciation reserve fund. Rather, for capital loss, we should get insurance done. Okay, because all these capital losses are accidental. It is not pre-planned. After that, the next topic comes, that is circular flow of income. The circular flow of income, it implies the flow of income across different sectors of the economy. Now, in this circular flow of income, we will take only two sector economy. So a simple economy assumes the existence of only two sectors, that is household sector and firm sector, or we can say the producer sector. So household represents the owner of all factors of production and consumers of goods and services. On the other hand, firms produce and sell goods and services to the household. Okay. Now there were some assumptions for the concept of circular flow of income. The first assumption is there are only two sectors in the economy, household and firm. Here we are not taking the other two sectors, that is government sector and the external sector, rest of the world. Second assumption is there are no savings in the economy. Neither the household saves from their income nor do the firm saves from their profit. So no savings are there. Third one is there is no government and it is a closed economy. As I told you that we are not taking the external sector here, so it is called a closed economy. So the entire amount of money which is paid by the firms to the factor owners household is paid back by factor owners to the firms. So there is circular and continuous flow of money income in the circular flow of income. Production generates factor income which is converted into expenditure. As we know that household sectors provides the factor of production, and for paying all these services, the firm or the producer sectors gives them the all the factor income. Like for land, they pay rent. For labor, they pay compensation to the employees, that is wages. Then for capital, they pay interest, and for last one, that is entrepreneurship, they pay the profit. Okay. So you can see the diagram here. Two sector model has been taken. This is household sector and this is firm sector. When the factor of income is getting by household sector, it uses it for consumption expenditure. Rather, for the firms, takes the factor services and gives them goods and services. So this is called where the goods and services are exchanging. It is called the real flow, and where the income and the expenditure is going on, that is called the money flow. Okay. So this is the concept of circular flow of income. So this is the last topic for today's video. I hope you revise all these topics, and if you are having any doubt, you can ask me on the WhatsApp. Thank you.